Hi everyone, welcome to your Votes for Schools training video. I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Kate. I'm the founder of Votes for Schools, and in this video I would like to do a few things. Number one is I would really love you to have an insight into what Votes for Schools is, kind of where it comes from, so you've got a real sense of our values. Number two is I'm going to get onto the website and I'm going to give you a fabulous whistle-stop tour of everything that you can access on the site. And then the last thing is I want to show you the Votes for Schools weekly resources and logging your class's votes, because that's a hugely important part of what we do, and how to see your school's results. So sort of 3 sections, probably last about 20 to 25 minutes. So without further ado, just to give you a bit of background then. So as I mentioned earlier, my name is Kate. I was a secondary school teacher for 14 years, and the last 4 of those I was a senior leader in a large secondary school in Surrey. And Votes for Schools was born out of something that I was frustrated about, which was tutor time mostly, and being able to embed a sense of sort of consistency and quality in that time. So when I set up Votes for Schools, what I wanted to do was to create like a pastoral program, and that can be used in tutor time. It can also be used in lots of other ways too. And as we know, in tutor time or those pastoral areas, there's often quite a few different teachers that are teaching it. And I think it's only right to say some of us love having difficult conversations with our children and our students. Other people don't like it, and that's totally okay. So I wanted to create Votes for Schools where it meant that regardless of how you felt as a teacher or your kind of comfort, you could still have those conversations, so that the children or the students, young people, were getting a good deal regardless of who they were with in terms of those pastoral areas. And so that was the first thing. The second thing I wanted to do was with Votes for Schools was do something that was particularly agile and sort of quick working. And I think it's this will all be very familiar to you, but we love a long-term scheme of work in education, and there's definitely a place for that. But I wanted to try and create something that was responsive. I think we all know that our world is moving very, very quickly, and therefore it's moving as quickly for our young people. So I wanted to create a platform whereby we could respond to stuff that's going on in the world around them, and then create amazing content so that you as teachers could have those difficult conversations without having to spend any of your own time or haven't had any kind of knowledge. So a good example of that is if there was a repeat of something like a Manchester bombing, we would want to create content very quickly so that you could have those conversations with the children, because they are inquisitive, they want to understand the world around them, and they want to kind of dissect it. So that's why responsiveness is really important to us, so we can be super, super current. And the last thing that Votes for Schools really wanted to set out to achieve was to kind of tip the whole concept of student voice on its head. And I think student voice is such an important element of a child's development. And you will know this as teachers, but you know, to give a child a voice is probably the most vital safeguarding tool you can give them. If they can advocate for themselves, if they believe that they're going to be heard, if they believe they've got agency, then they can become less vulnerable. So voice is not just an important part in terms of democracy, or even within the lessons themselves, whether that's English, physics. Voice is important, but it has ripple effects in terms of a child's development. So I wanted to create something with Votes for Schools where every single child got a voice every single week. So we're asking them to talk about a current issue, we're then asking them to have an opinion and voice that opinion, and then we're taking that voice and doing something in the wider world. So it is sort of student voice on a whole kind of crazy new level. But yeah, I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a minute. So just to sort of sum it up then, so what we do is we create weekly content. So what we're working on, say, this week is for you to deliver next week. So it has that current, on point, engaging, like super up-to-date element, which, you know, the students like. but it also is super plug and play. So for you guys, you can pick it up and go with it. Like I mentioned earlier, we never assume knowledge or time. And then at the end of the session that you've delivered, the students cast their vote. Really simple, going to show you how to do that. And then we as an organisation have an impact team, and that impact team goes and drives the voice of young people into the wider world. And we have on average about 80 to 100,000 votes every week. So it's pretty astounding. It's kind of student voice literally on a whole new level. And it's children up and down the country from all different types of schools, walks of life, that are having their voice heard. So the students are making impact all the time. I think that's a really important part of what we do. So students are feeding into policy at government level, but they also work, we work with charities like Bernardo's, Save the Children, UNICEF, to help them understand what young people think and feel about a range of topics. So that's the kind of overview of it all, if you like. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to jump onto the website and show you exactly what you can access. So if we just bear with me, I'm just going to share my screen. Here we go. So what you'll see is you've got onto the dashboard. So I've logged in from the main website already. If you don't know your login, please speak to your lead teacher. If you're the lead teacher and you haven't organised that, please come and speak to me and I can get that organised for you. So I've logged in and I've arrived at the dashboard, and what you'll see is this week's question. So this week we're talking about, is ghosting easier for everyone? Okay, that is this week's question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to this, okay, because this is the weekly stuff, which is what I describe as the main event, but I also want to show you some other stuff that's on the website that could be like super useful for lots of you. So I'm heading over here to the left hand side. So the first thing to show you is the previous vote topics. Now in here you've got access to over 200 bundles of lessons, all sorts of different topics, from protected characteristics to knife crime. I mean, you name it, it's all in there. These are really good for emergency lessons, emergency cover lessons. I always think they're great for that. They're also really good for responding to pastoral issues. So hypothetically, let's say in your school, suddenly in year 10, you've noticed that there is some misogynistic language going on. Now, I can guarantee you, if it's anything slightly pastoral, personal development, PSHE related, controversial, slightly difficult, we will have covered it at some point. So it's really good for you to go in there, and then you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So if you want to do an assembly with year 10 or a quick session with them, use our stuff, because it's all PowerPoint as well, so you can edit it slightly if you want to, but it's really good for supporting with that. You can also search by themes, so all of our content is linked to its PSHE strand. It's also linked to British Values SMSC. It's also linked to our 9 key themes, so we work under these 9 themes, and if you just have a quick look at them now, what you'll see is they are really diverse. There's a real breadth of topic that we cover, and we give equal weighting to these themes across the school year. And it just means that, like, for the students, it never feels boring. So we are talking about, I don't know, maybe cosmetics one week, and then the next week we're talking about AI, and then the week after that we're talking about university, or the week after that we're talking about access to concerts, or we can be talking about anything. The idea is that it's gorgeous and fresh, and it's really diverse, and it also keeps it interesting for you guys as well. So this is your previous stuff. Next thing to show you is the additional packs. Now, just clicking on that, just want to highlight everything that obviously turns red takes you to a whole different area with lots and lots of resources. So you've got 3 PSHE packs here. The Living in the Wider World is a great careers package. So anybody with sort of accountability in that area, please do take a look at that. The PSHE resources are what I would describe as more hard-hitting than the weekly stuff. So a good one for the PSHE team to look at, but they are resources on topics like FGM, pornography, county lines. They're the stuff that you ordinarily probably would plan about when you're going to deliver or talk to the students about. But what I do say is it's like a goodie bag, and good current content on things like pornography or county lines is quite tough to get hold of. So, you know, with Votes for Schools, it is going to be super, super current and very relatable to the students. So that's your PSHE stuff. You've also, for the artists in the room who love a good display, all of the display materials that you would need, either if you want to create something physical, if you've got TV screens, the school website, everything is in there. All of our assets, our icons, we've got like bunting, sentence starters, I mean, you name it, it's all in there. So please don't spend ages doing that. Just utilize the stuff we're giving you. You've also here got a whole bundle of extra assemblies, because who doesn't love an emergency assembly up their sleeve? So that's in there for you to use at any time too. And all of these areas are constantly being added to, so you're constantly seeing fresh content appear. Last thing to show you is the curriculum stuff, which has automatically brought me to. Just wanted to flag a few things for you. Now, in here is all the overviews of which parts of the curriculum that Votes for Schools ensures that you cover, and explains exactly how you cover it. Okay, so you've got your overviews in there. We do work in England, Scotland and Wales, so they vary slightly. So you'll see different documents dependent on what's relevant to you. The other thing to note when it comes to the curriculum is, obviously you've got these overviews that I've just said to you about there. Each lesson every single week is also mapped to the right areas of the curriculum, dependent on where you are in the UK. I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a minute. So you've got your direct curriculum that's being met, so you don't have to worry about doing that. And then up here, you've also got these overviews. Now, at the end of it used to be term, it's actually going to be half term from September 2025. Every 6 weeks, which is the average half term, you will then get an alert to let you know that your half termly overview is ready, and it will tell you what you've talked about, what areas of the curriculum you've covered. So you've got your weekly map, you've got your half termly map, and then you've got your sort of gorgeous overview of exactly how you do it and what the kind of philosophy is. So again, you shouldn't have to do any work. And then the last thing to show you here is we've written our own inspection guidance. So anybody that contributes to the school self-evaluation, there's lots of areas in there that Votes for Schools supports you on, and we've really put that nicely in there so you can literally copy and paste. So so that's your curriculum stuff. Last thing to show you is the handbook. So here is just think everything that you would possibly need to roll it out. So you've got introductory lessons, you've got handouts that you can send home to parents and carers. You've got a calendar, explains what pre-planned topics we're doing this year. So we do all your classics, your anti-bullying, your Black history, LGBTQ+, they're all in there. You know exactly what we're covering. Anything policy-wise that comes into schools, either from the DfE or wider government, that sort of sits under that personal development umbrella, we will create our own guidance for you. So we're very aware of the landscape, so we'll always make sure that you're sort of ahead of the game. So if you use Votes for Schools, you can kind of go, yeah, this is how we ensure this is how we ensure that, and it's all done for you. So that's the handbook. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to the main event. Okay, so far we've talked about kind of what the philosophy is and the mission and who we are as a team. Then I've just logged on and I've just shown you everything that is available outside of the main event. So that's all your sort of additional stuff. So I'm back to the dashboard. So now we're focusing on what Votes for Schools does as its kind of main meal, if you like. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the topic that everyone is talking about this week. So it is a national conversation, which is really lovely, and it's really important for the students to know they're a part of something that's bigger than just their own school. So it's really fabulous. Now there's one thing I want you all to remember, which is this automatically changes on a Friday at 4 p.m. Okay, so it will, whatever appears when you log on is what you are delivering that week. Okay, so you can't get lost, you don't need to find anything, it's literally log on there right for you to see. Okay, now in terms of accessing the resources so you can deliver the session, really simple. We call it the vote pack, think lesson pack. We just like to be a bit different, and if you click on it and just see this red bar here and scroll down, it will take you to what you've got. So every week you've got an assembly, so really good for kickstarting it. And we also focus a lot of the assemblies on the impact that the students are making, because we want to kind of really reinforce that sense of your voice matters, you feel empowered, you feel belonging, you feel identity, etc. So we do focus a lot of that in our assemblies. You've then got a short lesson, perfect 15-minute tutor time, pacey, but really good for that slot. You've also got a longer lesson, which is 45 minutes in there, so you can use that across tutor times as one session, however you want to use it. And you've also got a 16+ lesson in there for you. You also get a data report about the topic that was talked about 2 weeks ago. It's kind of a one-pager, really nice for your website, and it just talks about all the schools that contribute in Votes for Schools. This is what they've said about, and this one, for example, is about music and politics because it was based around Glastonbury. So again, it's just another additional thing. You can share it with parents, etc. It's just showing and evidencing that they are making a difference. I mentioned earlier when we talked about the curriculum stuff that everything is mapped weekly, and here it is. So when you look at the vote pack or the lesson pack and you've got it there, just underneath it is your curriculum map. So it's your areas of SMSC, British values, prevent, which part of the Shannari wellbeing in Scotland, and which part of the curriculum in Wales that you are covering. So that's all down there for you, built into the system. So I want to show you really quickly a lesson. So I'm going to open the short lesson for you, so we can get a sense of what that looks like. Right. Okay, so what you'll see, everything is PowerPoint and things look the same every week. So there is a real sense of comfort. So if this is something that you find quite tricky as a teacher or facilitator, just take comfort in the fact that it's going to be the same each week. So what you've got is we start with the questions. So this is what we're voting on this week. Really focus the students and hopefully capture them with some interesting questions. And then all I'm doing is clicking across. Again, to emphasize, the content never, ever assumes you have time, and it never assumes you have knowledge, okay? And in fact, in a lot of our secondary schools, it's peer-led, which is really, really lovely, because as you can see, you know, anybody can really facilitate this. Every activity, the timings, how many people involved, it's all built in. No lesson plans, you don't need them. It's all built into the PowerPoint. Just a couple of things to mention. Everything's copy checked, grammar checked. It's also politically impartiality checked, and it's also EDI checked. So all of our content goes through an equality, diversity and inclusion check. But you can see the quality is lovely, really captivating, lots of different types of activities. And then what happens is at the end of the session, you get the reflection slide. Okay, again, this is the same every week. So you kick off with the question, you end with the reflection. And these are just these are the three yeses we've just gone through, and these are the 3 no's. So I want you to imagine at this point that you've had the conversation, they're probably still talking, and you're going to ask them just to really solidify, are they going to vote yes or no, because you're about to obviously log their vote. So what happens now is you'll need to come out. So I've obviously come out of sharing that slideshow, and then I'm going to head back to the website. Okay, so this will look familiar. Now, if you remember, to get here, we clicked on the vote pack. You do have to go back to the dashboard. Okay, and just if you ever get lost, just go to the dashboard, I think is always the advice. If you click on that, again, this should look now familiar for you. What you'll see down here, it actually says vote now. If you slide down, you'll see that there is where you put the vote in. So it's so easy. So your job as a teacher is obviously to take those votes, and then where I'm just going to show you exactly how you input them. So just popping up to the top here, what we're going to do is we're going to select the lesson that we've used. Now, the reason this does this is because every now and again, the wording in the 16+ lesson is sometimes slightly different to the secondary. So you pick your lesson. So I've taught that one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick our year group. So I'm going to say I'm a year 8 tutor. Now down here, you will see your tutor groups. They're totally exclusive to your school. So this is just a sample in terms of my Votes for Schools school, but they'll be ready for you to use. So you just select your tutor group. So I'm going to say my tutor group is 8B, and then I'm going to pop the results in. Okay, and all I'm doing is just going to type the number in, press tab and it will jump me across. So I'm going to say that 13 girls said yes, and then I'm going to say 5 said no, and then I'm going to say 8 boys said yes, 6 said no, and in my class I'm going to have 1 diverse or gender neutral child, and we've got 1 no there. So I've popped them in, and what you'll see straight away is that the system is pulling the class vote into live time onto the platform, and it's comparing it straight away with what the current national vote is. So what the teacher needs to do now is just press continue, and on this page it just wants you to make sure you're super happy with everything that you've popped in. So you can see there, yep, they're the results that I've put in. Now in this box, if any student in your class has said something that was absolutely brilliant and you really wanted to capture it, pop it in the box here, because we often use feedback from the students in things like the assemblies, but we write a lot of reports, as you can imagine, for sort of government or for charities, like I mentioned earlier, and we often feature a whole section of student comments. So it's just another way ensuring that students are really having their voice heard. So you pop that in there, and then all you do is you click on submit vote. And straight away, that result that you've just put in is pulling into your whole school's results. Okay. Now, obviously, we've arrived here because we popped the results in. Just going to show you can get here really easily from the dashboard. So head on back to the dashboard, and this is obviously super, even more familiar. And then what you do, click on view results, and it brings you to exactly the same page. So I just want to showcase what this does for you. So on your results page, so you've got your school pulling in live time. So at the end of the week, you'll know exactly how your school's voted, how it compares to the region and the nation. Then you've got here some really fabulous tables that you can play around with. So you can start to get some comparisons. So here we can compare, say, year 7 with year 8, then with year 9, and so on. And here you can download them as images, so they're really good for those displays or the TV screens, website, etc. And then you scroll down, and then you've got your results by gender. Again, you can see the comparisons, you can download the images. And then the last chart you can see is your participation figures. So obviously you've got all the year groups, and you've got the total in each year group. You've also got them underneath listed by group. So this is a really good page for whoever is ensuring that, you know, all tutor groups or all Votes for Schools groups have submitted their vote. And then underneath, you've got the areas of the curriculum that this week's topic has met again. So it's in the vote pack, but it's also in the results page, because this page is really good for showcasing everything. So at the bottom, you've got your raw results. So you can imagine you're showing governors, inspectors, you've got your raw results, you've got your curriculum map. You've got your participation figures, you've got your comparisons, how you voted, different groups, and then you've got what you talked about, when you talked about it, with a small description. And then all that happens on a Friday at 4 p.m. is this topic then becomes the top one in your previous vote topics. And you can see here, you can always go back and view those results. So all of your evidence, all of the content that you've used, everything is sitting in this previous vote topic, so you never lose it. So I think that is absolutely everything. So what I'm going to do now is stop sharing my screen. So I'm going to stop presenting, and it's really just for me to say thank you so much for engaging with the training. Hopefully you'll find it really easy, and you'll have a really lovely smooth transition. The team is very responsive, so if you ever need anything, please do get in touch. And all that's left to say is have a fabulous Votes for Schools sessions, and look forward to hearing how you guys get on. Thanks very much. Bye.